first thing you think of when you hear the word hydraulic fracturing? When people hear this word, they usually think about the causes of water pollution or earthquakes, and some people think of the positive things, like the boost of the economy. Fracking has been around for several years, since 1940s. The EPA, however, which is the Environmental Protection Agency, believes that it is polluting our waters and causing earthquakes and should not be allowed. Because of this, they have been putting up petitions trying to end this project. I personally was very skeptical going into this subject because I was not sure of the true facts. In fact, I used to be against it. But since I looked at the statistics and evidence, I actually agree with the fracking. Hydraulic fracking is a technique for tapping unconventional oil and gas reservoirs which are otherwise inaccessible. Most of these are taken about 2 miles below our surface or even more than that. This process includes a drill that goes horizontally into the sediment. Then a blast of water, sand, and chemical mixture is put into the rock. Then it seeps into the cracks and takes out the oil sediments. Then it's taken back up to the surface and the water is put back into the earth. The number one issue that people have with this is the water that they're putting back into the earth is highly toxic. This water is unbelievably toxic and impossible to be unfiltered. If this is to make it to our waterways, then it would be impossible to clean and it would destroy our drinking water. Now, I know that sounds grim, but you also have to consider this. It's been around since 1940 and none of our water has been polluted. And you also have to consider the fact that for that to happen, the water would have to at least go uphill to 2 miles to make it to our water supply. Terry Eldler from the Department of Geosciences from Pennsylvania State University says, the Groundwater Protection Council, a nonprofit national association of state groundwater and underground injection control agency, has found no instance in which injected fluid contaminated groundwater from below. They believe that we have no issue to be concerned with. The EPA, however, believes that it is associated with it, but they have no evidence. Another problem that people are thinking is going to happen is what happens if the containers with this chemical leaks or if the wells leak. Science Direct also has a response to this. They said, considering the number of protection casing layers incorporated into the typical well, the statistically calculated odds for a leak to occur about 1 in 200,000. So basically, it's practically impossible for this leak to occur. And even if it was to occur, they have taken extra steps of safety to get it cleaned up as soon as possible before it makes it to our drinking water. And one of the number one issues that people seem to really consider when this happens is they believe that it creates earthquakes. Well, honestly, it kind of does in a little way. William Ellsworth from Science AAAS says, each stage involves a high-pressure injection of water into the formation. Fracking initially induces numerous micro-earthquakes. So yes, it does create micro-earthquakes, but not nearly in the form that everybody believes. These large earthquakes that have been happening all over the U.S. have been blamed on fracking, but that is not true. Fracking earthquakes are so micro that most of them you cannot feel, and they happen on a daily basis. Fracking could be happening right now, and we wouldn't even notice. The ones that are big enough to where we can notice are not nearly as hard enough to be destructive. Ellsworth also states that the largest fracking-induced earthquakes have all been below the damage threshold for modern building codes, meaning that it is impossible for these earthquakes to be destructive enough to harm our buildings. And another thing that we like to consider is the benefits that come with this. There are the job opportunities that boost around the oil factories. There's the wealth that goes to the individuals who loan out their property for these companies to drill. Then there are the gas prices that are able to be lowered because more gas is available. And there's also the economy being boosted as a whole. Going into this, I was very skeptical, and I wasn't sure what information I was going to pull up. But now looking at all this evidence, I realized that the media has really tried to make fracking a negative thing, when in fact it's actually a very good thing for our economy, and it does not harm our environment. I feel very safe to say that our water in our homes are safe from fracking. Thank you.